Welcome everybody to episode 3 of season 8. I know it took a little bit of a delay. There was a lot of things going on in the background behind the scenes, but nonetheless, we're getting the video out. We're getting the episode to you guys. So in this episode, we're gonna have OSU starting out with Florida State, and immediately I really seen that Florida State's quarterback Rob. We're not gonna try to say his name, but he's been elite, and so has the two receivers, Cahill, Farrow. Stalling has been a great running back. I forgot the other running back, but there's two. It's a dual running back system, and it has just been insane. I don't know what they've been doing in the lab, but their offense has been very explosive. And OSU's not a bad team, but they're just, they don't have the firepower to compete with Florida State's, high-powered offense. And their defense, honestly, isn't that great either. So, it was looking like an easy blowout win. Stallings being, as explosive as ever, And there is Cahill. And who is it? Oh, yeah, Cahill again. I'm telling you, Cahill is someone who has been on the team for a while now. I'm pretty sure he's a senior, but he hasn't had the time to really blossom. He had a lot of people in front of him. I don't really remember who they were, but those two main receivers from the last 2 seasons from Florida State have been kind of overshining Cahill's performance. But now, Cahill's going to come out here and show that he is capable of that high-level performance as well. So that's exactly what he's doing. We're going to have back-to-back Florida State games because we didn't include them in the last episode. So we're just going to get them in real quick. And Duke, who is a pretty good run defense, but the main reason why they never really get over the hump is that Duke's offense isn't that great and their pass defense isn't that great either. I think the many times that we've seen Duke deep in the playoffs, they've had good quarterbacks, they've had good offenses, and they had the corners and the DBs to really compete and go to the next level in college football. But right now they're kind of in a little bit of a slump here, 4-2, which isn't terrible, but their team isn't really that good. They're not ranked. And what a catch. I mean, what a throw as well. But Meadows just absolutely being a monster, man. He's been a very underrated he's been a very underrated tight end contested catcher. I mean, he kind of reminds me of a dude from the Patriots named Morales. Shout out to him. He kind of reminds me of him because he's just, a little unknown, underrated receiver, but he just makes the craziest catches sometimes. And 105 points is insane. I'm telling you, the allegations of us doing this on rookie mode is going to be insane. I already know. But look at our teams, man. We're playing on Heisman. The CPU is not maxed out, but it's pretty high with the sliders. I think the pass defense reaction time is like 80 on the sliders, which is pretty high for the CPU. So I'm telling you, man, we tried to make this fair, but the CPU has just been, I don't know, lackluster in their development, and obviously our teams are insane. So y'all could keep saying that we play on rookie mode, but we know we play on Heisman. It is what it is. But here, nonetheless, with San Jose Tech and Pasadena, who have had a really couple of good games together, but honestly, to San Jose Tech, man, can't get over the hump. I don't know what's going on. Kiki Little hasn't looked like himself at all. I don't know what happened from last season to this season. It could have been the O-line. It could be the receivers. They lost their main receiver. They lost some linemen, but I wasn't expecting this much of a dip. Maybe they didn't bring in a lot of rookies in the offseason, so maybe that could be the reason. But they just haven't looked like themselves at all, really. And it's kind of been disappointing because I was really hoping to see Kiki Little have a chance at the Natty, but haven't seen it. And I'm not sure if he was even on the team when they went into the semifinals against the Pasadena Honey Badgers, going for their second ring. And it's just been really lackluster of a career for Kiki Little in terms of team greatness, because as a single performer, he has been a top 3, top 2, even the best, I would say, quarterback last season as well. But just this season, he's been really bad. And I had him with Varga in the sense of production level, and I thought that was going to be something that we were going to see, was a Varga Kiki Little type of battle for best QB, but it ended up being Holloway and Varga, because Kiki Little kind of dipped, and his numbers it's still insane. It's not about the numbers, it's just about the ability to win games. You know what I mean? Like, you could be unstoppable, but as you could be unstoppable as a one person, but when you can't win the games as a quarterback, it kind of shows on your record a little bit, and it kind of stains that greatness that you chase. And I think for Kiki Little, we got to try to win more games here. And I think soon NFL coaches might look at this and be saying, is this someone we want to, draft, or maybe he's just, they're looking at it like, just San Jose Tech as a program isn't that good. We can just scoop up the quarterback and he'll translate immediately to the NFL, which is entirely possible. I'm not saying it's Kiki Little's fault all entirely, because San Jose Tech as a program hasn't really been that good at developing players outside of the quarterback and receiver position. So I think definitely it could just be a team thing, and Kiki Little is just suffering from poor recruiting or development, or a culmination of many other things as well. And I think Kiki Little has a chance to be great in the NFL, but I think his time in college is coming to an end, and rather quickly too. I don't know. I don't even know if he's gonna make it to the playoffs, which is sad to say. So here we go. We're gonna have, I don't know why I just sound like Dak Prescott. Here we go. So we have Alabama versus South Dakota here, and immediately we got 7-3 here. And Varga, I think, is going to be looking for a highlight reel in this game. I don't truly think that Alabama is that good. I think the 14 rank is a little bit high for how good their team actually is. But a great ball from Varga. And I think, Alabama's really fallen off the horse as well. There's been a lot of teams that have not really been producing the way they should be. Clemson is a team who I thought was going to be insanely good this season, who's been 99 overall for the past 2 seasons, but has been lackluster in their pursuit for a next level performance out of their team. And it's a little bit closer game than I thought, 21-20, and it's a great run from Dobbs and a great throw from Varga making this 28, but it's a lot closer game than I would like to be, which now we make it 35. I thought Alabama was going to be way more of a blowout game, which it is now, right? It is now in the fourth quarter, but I think the defense really has been a great asset to the South Dakota team, because that, you have Mike Washington, you have Westbrook, you have a lot of players who really stepped up in this game. And right here, look, stripping people for a fumble, pretty much just creating nightmares for an offensive coordinator, and it's been really paying off here. I mean, look at that, 17 points in the second quarter, but then you have 0 in the third and only 1 score in the fourth quarter, which is something that you always want. You always want that second half of the game to be just absolute torture for an offensive coordinator, and I think South Dakota's coach has been doing a really great job at making their defense a very big key point into this season, because in recent memory, their defense, besides their DBs and maybe a couple D linemen, haven't really been that amazing. I think they haven't really had that many good linebackers either, except for I forgot what his name is, but he was kind of a next level linebacker as well. I'm not saying in production wise, because D line production wise, I think South Dakota has the highest production of sacks and TFLs, I believe. But I just mean when they're going against great competition, that's what I mean in forms of production. I don't mean straight numbers. And Auburn's just kind of getting spanked out here by Florida State. And I thought Auburn was going to put up more of a fight because they're ranked 9 in this season. I thought they were going to be doing something a little better. But Something to mention as well is Florida State's coach has been subbing Rob and Stamper back and forth. So not something that I thought I was going to see was two quarterbacks, kind of a dual quarterback system, which is kind of good because you have a speedster with a semi-arm, and then you have a slower in-pocket quarterback with the laser beam cannon. And, you know, it's been working pretty good so far. I'm just hoping that we don't, you know, sometimes when you switch quarterbacks, you don't really have much of a flow at certain times because you're kind of killing that connection between your receivers and the two quarterbacks. But nonetheless, they're winning games, so I can't say anything. With this game against Duke, though, South Dakota has always had a problem against Duke. Now, the only reason why they look, you know, the games against Duke look so good on paper is because they don't have good corners. Like I said against Florida State, they don't have good corners. They don't have a good offense, so it always looks entirely better than it should be. And look at this. This is what I'm talking about. Mike Washington just ripping the ball from the quarterback. Absolute sad things to see from an offensive coordinator perspective. But like I said, the defense is putting BTA on this Duke offense, and this is what I'm saying, because in all seriousness, Duke as a run defense has been terrorizing South Dakota for a couple of seasons now. But Duke can't get it figured out at quarterback. They can't get it figured out in any type of offense. And the fact that South Dakota has really put effort into making this defense a key standpoint into this season really shows how much of a gap in between skill level this team and Duke is. And it's really impressive to see because, you know, like I was saying before, South Dakota's defense has been a little wishy-washy in recent memory, but this team really looks, I mean, look at that blocked kick, really looks impressive to me, I think, because a couple seasons ago all they had was a D-line, or, you know, like sometimes they kind of fluctuate. They only have a D-line, they only have DBs, maybe they have a linebacker. They haven't had a really full set defense, and I think this season they really done that. And holding Duke to 0, I mean, this is impressive as hell. I mean, to hold a team that, yeah, maybe that might not be that good, but to 0 points to any college team is very impressive nonetheless. And now we're gonna have Ohio State versus Pasadena here, and in the rain nonetheless. They're looking to get a win over Ohio State, which I think they're gonna get it. I don't think it's gonna be a close game. Marcus Holloway's looked insane as these seasons have, weeks have gone by. Getting ahead of myself here, but Marcus Holloway, man, he's really been someone who has been a team rallier. You know, he's kind of bringing the team together. He's a clutch guy, and on the run, he's been such a problem. Like, I mean, look at this on the run, putting things on the money. I haven't seen this dude miss a throw on the run in like 2-3 weeks now, and it's basically because, you know, maybe that's what he's been working on in the off season, or not in the off season, but like working on in preparation for college football, and it looks like it's been paying off, because look at these throws on the run, right on the money where you want them. And, you know, half of these highlights are just him running around and throwing that ball. And some people might say that's not sustainable as a quarterback because, you know, maybe the NFL would like to see a quarterback who is more in the pocket, more processing. But Marcus Holloway does process the game at a high level, very fast. And some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they make that mobility a luxury to have on an offensive coordinator standpoint, where you're not limited to sitting in the pocket. You can pump fake, you can get out of the pocket, you can run for 20 yards if you need to. You know what I mean? And I think Marcus Holloway has done a great job of that so far. And I think maybe some people might see it as backyard football, but others would see it as a luxury that only pertains to him because of the athleticism and great decision making that he does on the fly. But Alabama going against Florida State, and I didn't think Alabama was gonna get this much of a close game too. Maybe I'm an Alabama hater because I'm a Georgia fan. Maybe that's what it is. But I haven't really seen Alabama be too impressive in recent memory, and I think that kind of leads my brain to believe instant blowout whenever I see Alabama. And I can't say anything either because Georgia has been he's been lackluster in this season as well. So I can't really say that that either. But now here comes the blowout. I was expecting it to come a little bit faster, and oh my goodness, what a throw on the money and what a catch. I mean, you can't put the ball any better than that, but you also, I mean, it's an insane catch to go over top of somebody while you're getting PI'd and end up getting it. Very impressive by him. And J.D. Kimball, who has been the consensus Heisman candidate. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else besides maybe Donahue and maybe Jalil Varga who has been eligible to even think about being in the Heisman conversation. But J.D. Kimball, I think, has been the consensus #1 Heisman candidate. He's been such a monster, and just putting up like these Puka Nacua type of numbers in his rookie season. In Puka Nacua's rookie season, not Kimball's rookie season, but I'm just saying the high volume amount of receptions and touchdowns that he's getting has been very impressive to see against high level opponents. It's not just the trash ones like Navy or Army or like, you know, the normal ones. It has been the high level teams as well that Kimball has been able to prevail on. It's mainly just been the O-line kind of holding Kiki Little and him back. I mean, there's other factors as well to this thing, you know. I really don't know what is really holding this team back besides the O-line, but maybe a good defense would start it out as well. But an easy win over Army. I mean, it wasn't really too problematic for them. I didn't expect them to struggle really, as it is Army. No offense to them, but again, it's going to be another easy game for UM Monroe as well, because I mean, UM Monroe, not really a good team, and South Dakota has been putting BTA on them ever since they came into this league as a one-star program. And now here we go with UM Monroe immediately taking pressure. They're already down 21, which is insane because we just started this portion of the game, and it's just domination all over, man. Dobbs showing his speed around the edge, kind of breaking out of there. And it was an easy win for South Dakota. It wasn't even worth putting them in this video because they're just kind of not that impressive either, almost like the Army. And already breaking 5,000 yards in week 9 for Marcus Holloway. And Marcus Holloway, man, he's just getting destroyed in this pocket sometimes, and he's just delivering laser beams after laser beams. I think Coach Joshua putting me onto this opportunity to have this type of level of quarterback. I think he's been such a great help to this team. I think we're going to be lackluster this season and maybe not chase a ring, but now, I mean, I don't really think anybody could stop us with this quarterback at the helm. He's just such a problem. I mean, look at this type of play that he's just throwing it up. You know, some people might just think that he's just unconsciously throwing it up there and not really being a processor like I was saying before, but I mean, 49-13 against a ranked opponent. I know Miami hasn't been that great either, and we were expecting a blowout nonetheless. But I mean, they have just been. I mean, Mark Holloway has been just so good at not letting the pressure get to him. You know, sometimes that he'll be getting chased out of the pocket, or he'll have only a couple seconds to throw, and he's been getting it done. Now, I will say the O-line is a big help to him. Obviously, we have one of the better O-lines in the SEC, but even when we go against teams that have given us instant pressure countless times, he has shown that the pressure doesn't matter. He's willing to take the hit and still survive to, you know, live another play, throwing those check downs, throwing those speed outs, throwing the slants, and when the opportunity arises, throwing the big plays. And I think Marcus Holloway doing that kind of separates himself from other quarterbacks, and I think that's something that a part of Little's game that he hasn't really unlocked it, even as a senior, is to deal with the instant pressures. Obviously, when you have a bad O-line, you got to get that ball out. You got to hit the checkdowns, and you got to be more of a quick processor when you don't have the luxury of a great O-line. And it's easier said than done. It's a hard thing to learn, and I think Little in the NFL will get that training from a better quarterback coaches and progress a little bit better. But I think his college run is over. I don't think after that loss to LSU, I don't really think I see him going anywhere special in this season here. And Georgia kind of getting destroyed a little bit by South Dakota. Defense is giving them a problem. Georgia's quarterback has been very impressive, though. He's been a very good contested thrower, and oh my goodness, number 9 is over here just destroying people. I don't know what he's doing. I think we need to get some corner tackle training over there in South Dakota, but nonetheless, it's going to be an easy game for South Dakota. I mean, 70-27 is fucking disgusting. I mean, that is insane. As I was just talking about Alabama, forget Georgia just gets absolutely pummeled, which is not something that you want to see out of a Georgia fan myself. But nonetheless, we're just going to skip by that and go into this game against Oklahoma and Pasadena. And Pasadena, I don't think I see them struggling in this game either. I think there's only 2 or 3 games on the schedule that I thought they were going to struggle in, but there's definitely one coming up soon where I know it'll be a banger because we faced them previously. But oh my goodness, Tryon, back-to-back huge catches, and then Ower, who I don't know what this type of laser was. Maybe the corner over-jumped it there, but it was such a dot from Marcus Holloway there. And Donahue, who has been such a problem this season, I expect him to be at 3,000 yards by the end of the season here. Tryon doing a little bit of dancing here because, Tryon, he hasn't really had the fair shot because there's been a lot of receivers outshining him, and then with the addition of Bruce Brooks and Donahue, it kind of stunted his growth, and I think Tryon has gotten an unfair treatment. But Tryon has been really good contested catcher as well. He's just been outshined by all the other potential receiving threats, and then especially with the freshman coming in, he hasn't had a chance to really show or express the level of training that he's undergone to be that level of receiver, and I kind of feel bad for him. I hope that he goes onto the league and does great things, but nonetheless, we have Kiki Little going against Ohio State, and I don't think this should be a close game. I think Kiki Little should get it done here, but then again, Kiki Little hasn't really been impressing me so far in this season. It's kind of been a little bit underwhelming, to say the least. And I think I'm hoping that oh my goodness, Kimball. I'm hoping that Ohio State gets kind of torched here. I want to see Little's last couple of games to be very impressive for that NFL tape. I wouldn't want him to fall anywhere short of the first round. And I don't think he will, but I just don't want that to be a case. 49-21, very impressive. 565 and 6 for the man himself, and honestly, not too bad of a game. I think he only has a couple more games left. I believe that was week 11, so one more game, or possibly if they get a bowl game, then 2 more games in his career, and it's over. We're going to have Rob throwing up a huge bomb immediately to I think that was Farrow in the Clemson game. Huge. And on 4th and 8, another pass to Cahill. And on the run, trying to get Farrow in double coverage, couldn't get him, intercepted. And they end up stopping them anyway. So Farrow getting down to near midfield, and then Cahill taking the top off the defense, being the problem that he has been this whole time. And then they sub in their quarterback, running a read option, which seemed to be a good choice, and then immediately running a screenplay. Very impressive timing by this offensive coordinator to be able to be smart enough to switch quarterbacks in and out without the defensive coordinators knowing. And this is a huge game. I mean, 35-35. with time expiring almost, 41 to 35, and a very close game, which I kind of expected, because I was saying before Clemson is very underrated. The 99s and everything. I don't understand how they're 3-7, but nonetheless. And then this game is going to be an easy game for Pasadena. I mean, this is literally a Marcus Holloway highlight. He was just throwing touchdowns after touchdowns after touchdowns. He just couldn't stop throwing them because the Penn State defense was sweet as hell, man. I don't know what type of coaching that they've been going through. I don't know what type of head coach that they have, but very, very lackluster out of Penn State. And now we have possibly the most anticipated game of the regular season, Florida State versus South Dakota. And going into this matchup, honestly, I don't really know who could win this game. I mean, we've seen Florida State absolutely dominate, and Cahill immediately takes the top off the defense, making the 7-0. And it's honestly going to come down to if this Florida State D-line can handle the run blocking of South Dakota. And up to the first drive, it looked like it happened. The second drive, they also got to stop, and back-to-back touchdowns make it a little bit harder on Varga and this team, but they end up rallying, getting a touchdown of their own and a stop as well to back it up. So now they're looking in pretty good shape here. LeConte getting down near the red zone area, and more on his RPO gets that touchdown. So right now 14-14, and on 4th and 11, an absolute bomb of a throw from Stamper puts them in perfect position. Mechie banks it in there, making it 21. They get a stop, and oh no, that was the end of the half. They got the stop, nothing happened. They get the ball back because the South Dakota had the ball at the first possession of the game. They end up scoring 28, and Turpin ends up taking this to the house. He was the Jet Award winner, I believe, last year, so not a surprise. And South Dakota's special teams is always great, and they end up scoring again, man. The corners of South Dakota are not really putting in their effort like they usually do. Maybe they've had miscommunication this whole game, but it's looking pretty bad for them. And now it's 42 to 28 here, trying to throw up a prayer, and he gets it, making this 42 to 35. And to end the game, essentially with 15 seconds left, their last chance, they end up losing against the Abyssal Storm. So this is I think this is the first time we've seen Florida State actually best the South Dakota Pumas here. And it comes because of Cahill. Cahill took off the top like 4 or 5 times, which is highly impressive, especially with the defense that South Dakota brings on the D-line. And they end up getting the win. So we're going to, it's very intriguing to see what Florida State can do. But now we're going to have the USC versus Pasadena game. And this is where USC is trying to get the redemption for the Natty a couple of seasons ago. And, immediately they end up stopping us on 4th down, but we end up doing a disguised coverage there. We end up getting interception, and we have the ball back, and we end up scoring 7-0 to start this game out with Delonte Copper, and we end up getting scored on. So Marcus Holloway trying to get his moves in there, trying to get a little bit spicy up in there. He ends up scoring. Just going to skip a little bit ahead because there's a lot of back and forth interceptions. I don't know. We were just giving each other the ball back and forth. There's a lot of patty cake. But now the score is 21 to 21 in the third. And Marcus Holloway immediately finds a wide open Donahue. And Donahue looking very, very open on these past couple games where he's just been unstoppable here. Ends up scoring again. And now we have interception from our safety. And we end up getting close to the end zone and then scoring off of an Ebner touchdown. So what was a very competitive game still could be. I thought we were going to wrap this up, but we end up getting scored on. So now it's 38 to 25. I didn't think, 35 to 28. I didn't think it was going to be this close, but nonetheless, it is, the best CPU team in the league here. And we're going to almost score. We're going to score now. There you go. We end up scoring there, and we end up getting the win. So very big win over USC. And now this could be a shootout, man. Either way, this could be a high-scoring game because Florida State has looked unstoppable in the air, and so has Pasadena. So it's just going to be a matter of what defense can stop the offense. And it looks like both defenses stopped both offenses back to back. So now we're going to see a crazy throw to Meadows, and I think that was a little bit forced there. Sal's make a great return. I thought it was a bad decision to intercept it, but he ends up bringing it back to what would have been the turnover on downs. Then Farrow, off of that, seeing that touchdown, he wants to get lit up here, but they end up stalling in the red zone on fourth. Couldn't get it done. So here we go with Marcus Holloway trying to make a move here. Gets a little scramble. They run a read option, and number 10, I think he had a bad angle there, ends up getting scored on. So another fourth down for this quarterback. He's been facing a lot of pressure, and oh my goodness, nearly head topped, but great play by the safety to recover on his mistake. And then there's the first mistake for Marcus Holloway, which actually goes up being a pick 6 by the end of the half. So what a great turn of events for Florida State. And if you're Marcus Holloway, you do not want to make that mistake at all. On the run, huge catch, and another huge catch on the run. So Marcus Holloway just running around doing backyard football like he always does. And oh my goodness, Stallings is just cooking right now. So honestly, I don't really know what direction this game could go. We knew it was going to be a shootout. Oh my goodness, I thought it was going to be intercepted, but it ends up getting going through. They end up getting a safety. So right now, I think Florida State is kind of getting pulled away from by Pasadena here, which I didn't think was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a closer shootout. But, you know, I think the D-line of Pasadena has been a little bit too much to handle, which is interesting because I thought South Dakota was going to have just the same impact with their D-line, but maybe it's the corners, maybe it's the DBs are the difference between Pasadena and South Dakota's defenses, and that's why Florida State had so much success in their game against South Dakota, and now the struggles with this game. And I don't know what's going on over there. That you already know that was some BS, but nonetheless, 52-23, great win for Marcus Holloway and this Pasadena Honey Badgers, which I think, don't quote me on this, but I think we can go all the way here. Now, that's going to be the end of the regular season. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, please like and sub. It definitely helps out the channel. And in the next one, I'm just going to put a little sneak peek in there. We are all going to be in the same bracket. So everybody that made it to the playoffs, we're all going to be in the same bracket, and USC as well. So stay tuned for that. The next video is going to be a banger, and I'll see you in the next one.